Ooh, off the cuff.
I hit thumbnail. How are you doing, everyone?
Good evening.
Jay Hood, Coach Vic, in for a special primetime episode of, it's calling it off the cuff because I got an idea of what to say, but I want to keep it casual.
I do work best off the cuff.
There you go. I've been wanting to do something like this for a while now, where it's just more, just kind of chat, interact with the chat a little bit more. So we got Rob Boswell hanging out. Matthew Poe is here. Ben Compton, good to see you guys. Thanks for coming and joining us live. Really appreciate it.
Nice.
So how you been, Coach Vic?
Been doing all right.
Yeah, me too.
Not enough hours in a day.
I know, right? I've been working all day, painting all night, burning the candle at both ends.
I mean, I've been playing Madden all day, watching TV all night, burning the candle at both ends.
You live the life. Well, I think, okay, so as I've been reading my comics and looking at kind of what I've been reading, processing, do I like this? Don't I like this? Do I want to keep buying this?
Mm-hmm.
I see these announcements, right? Marvel's launching 7 new titles. DC's launching 6 new titles, all by creators I've never heard of, in most cases.
Well, you got to remember at one time, John Romita was just Johnny Rowe. The Stan Lee was Stanley Kabivich.
Lieber. Stan Lieber.
I mean, they had to be somebody before it became somebody.
Right. Part of this is I realize there's an economy involved in creating these comics where people have to be hired, they have to be paid. Mm-hmm. Health insurance is involved sometimes in these exclusives. But then again, I see, all the what I would call the big name artists and writers these days aren't doing like the big key books anymore. Not like they used to, not like when I was a kid. But things change. So
like James Tynion, he's wrapping up Batman. When is that 2 more issues or 3 more issues, or is he already done?
I'm not sure. And here's the thing about Batman. We'll talk about this a little bit too when we get to it. I'm a Batman fan, and I'm Batmaned out. Tynion's work on the book has been solid. The art has been amazing, and I've got 3 back issues in my stack upstairs that I need to read. And it's when I see things like that I think, okay, I love the character, writing solid, art is awesome, and I just can't bear to crack the book open and read it. So
you read it out of necessity instead of want to.
It's like homework. I got to read my Batman. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some of the books that I've been pulling, some that I've bought recently out of back issue bins, and I'm even going to touch on some of the books I have stacked up, older books that I want to read, haven't gotten to yet, and books that I've been pulling out of my collection. One of my problems is I've been trying to thin back my collection to the point where I can actually fit new purchases in the same amount of space. Yeah. And what I'm running into is the stuff I'm pulling out. It's not that it's bad stuff. I've paid for it. I enjoyed it. I judge this stuff on, do I think that in any reality, I will pick it up and read it, or I will hand it to somebody that I think that they'll really enjoy it.
Like Aerosmith.
Yeah. Not the band, the comic book. So yeah, a lot of these books have been picked up on the cheap, at cover price or below for sure. And many times it's like 40 cents a piece, and picking up like huge chunks of runs. But we'll talk about some of the books I've been picking up on that kind of basis too. So the tastes are just shifting, and I need to get rid of some books, and I'm going to pose a question later on in the video once we get to some of these books I'm talking about. So what have I been enjoying? Okay, well, here's one of the free comic book day books I picked up this year. There have been years gone by that I just skip going to the comic shop on free comic book day, and this year our retailer did a thing where it's like, you just tell us the books you want and we'll put them in your poll. You don't even have to come in. So I picked up this one and a few others, like the Avengers and the Hulk and a couple others, and I missed. Even though there have been years I've just not bothered to go, this year I missed like the variety of trying to find something new
Right.
that I wanted to buy. I did read this. If you're into Something That's Killing the Children, this is a great book. Fits right in. I've been debating on Something's Killing the Children, in that there's not a lot per issue. And Tinian does this thing where sometimes he's putting a lot into a book. In the case of what's the one with the lady with the glasses with no eyes? Department of Truth.
Okay, yeah. He's just writing everything, isn't he?
Yeah, he's writing lots of stuff. So I only read the first issue of that, but it was like a long-winded read. And I'm like, it's the same guy that's writing Something's Killing Children. Batman is kind of in the middle. Nice House on the Lake, kind of in the middle. But Something That's Killing Children, issue by issue, it's like it's a 5 to 10 minute read per issue. I think it's something that is better consumed in a trade format, where it's like an hour long read rather than 10 minutes spread over 5 to 6 months. This a lot of times I'll read comics and just kind of they'll fizzle out. Either I'll lose interest or the quality just declines. Not happening in Something That's Killing Children.
Really?
If you have read it from the beginning, you're probably still reading it, and like Rob says, he loves it, but he's reading it in trade paperbacks. Yeah, it's going to be one of those series that everyone's going to read it, I think, from beginning to end. And that's why the earlier books that had like lower print runs are so valuable.
How many trades are there?
At this point, there would be 2.
Okay. There's 20 issues, I guess.
Yeah, maybe there's 3. Rob or someone else might want to correct me on that. But yeah, issue after issue, it's solid. I would definitely pick it up in trade if you haven't read it monthly. There's a part of me though that realizes that if you trade paperback 3 just came out.
Okay.
There's part of me that is like, okay, if you really dig this comic book and it's at all indie, you better buy it as floppies because you want to support the artist, writer, and the publisher in that. And kind of the moral of the story of tonight is going to be keep buying what you love and not buy what you feel like you're beholden to.
Okay.
By the way, this is how I store my books. So this is going to have all 5 issues of the current Something That's Killing the Children run all in one Silver Age bag. So it's almost like I'm storing a trade paperback worth of books all in one bag.
That's how you save room too, right?
I've got 10,000 books in my collection. If I bagged and boarded them, my collection would grow like 1.5 times just as far as the amount of space. Yeah, maybe 4 of the individual. Yep. So along those lines, and here's where I'm seeing things start to get a little bit dicey as far as me and what I'm buying and what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Nice House on the Lake. I'm so into this that I was like, if you know me at all, you followed my channel at all, you know I'm not going out and buying second and third prints of anything. I'm not chasing down variant covers, but
I am the opposite.
With this one, they got me.
That's so cool how they do that.
Yeah. So it's the first issue, the first second and third printings, and of course issue 2 and 3. I believe issue 4 is out, and I just haven't picked it up yet.
I think they might be up to 5.
So
Yeah.
the thing that's getting me about this is they say when they get to issue 6, they're putting on hiatus. They're building steam with this book, and Tinian is getting bigger and bigger every day. He's doing a Substack thing, and that's probably part of the reason why he's putting this off a while. But this is one of the books that I'm motivated to go to the comic book store and pick it up. I haven't gotten the 4th issue yet, and I'm like, I can't believe I haven't gotten to the store to buy the 4th issue.
Right.
Usually I'm motivated by, man, I've got a stack of comics at the comic shop. I'm going to get the Kelly email. If you get the Kelly email, you get an email from one of the owners saying, you can come and pick up your books. Yeah. And I can't blame it at all for that. It's a business. They're doing their best to support their family, and loafs like me shouldn't be, making them carry my load.
Mopes like us.
Rob Boswell not sold on that storyline yet, but I haven't read it.
Read the first book, man. Read the first book.
Yep. And like I said, I'm so excited about it that I want to go, and I can't wait for the next issue to come out. And it's one of the few books I can say that about.
As soon as I finished the first book, I sent the email to have that add to my pull list.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed that.
So, talking about books that are stalling, and I don't know if you heard the news that DC they're running into this thing where, for whatever reason, paper shortage or whatever, they're putting all kinds of delays on a bunch of their books for the end of the year, and pretty much everything except Batman is going to be delayed.
Which Batman?
No, all the Batmans are going to ship on time. Everything else doesn't matter.
All 27 Batmans are good.
Comicsology. I'm not sure if it's on Comicsology yet. It is a DC Black label, so it would be on their app, I would think. I'm not sure how their app works, but so Wonder Girl that originally was going to be, started as Wonder Woman, and now we've got the Yara Flor Wonder Girl book. And I'm going to admit something. I'm buying this for the art. I don't care that much about the character. The story is just okay. I'm like, okay, if we're going to have a new Wonder Girl, a significant addition to the DC universe, yeah, I'm kind of interested in being in on what the startup is on this. So, but the thing is, first issue came out, second issue came out, and there are 2 artists on this book, and there's 2 artists on issue 3, and there's 2 artists supposedly on issue 4.
Are they the same artists or 2 different artists?
Well,
are they 6 artists or 2 artists?
There's 2 artists between all the books, but it's supposed to be Joelle Jones, and that's why I'm buying it.
Oh yeah.
And if I'm not getting that for the $3.99 I'm paying, and I've heard that she has said she's not going to last long drawing that book, which I'm like, you're making this character again. Let's build momentum. Let's put this big marketing push behind Wonder Girl, the next big thing, and then
and that's when it's going to be a TV show too, right?
It was. I've heard that's canceled too.
Yeah, well,
there you go. Now you know what you're going to read right after this. So, more indie books. We only find them when they're dead. I think this would be better consumed in trade paperback as well.
I bought issue 1 of that.
I like the art, love the coloring, even though it gets dark in spots. The writing on it is a little bit questionable in how they're going back and forth in time. And they're telling you we're going back and forth in time by putting the dates on, but the way that it is written, there's no differentiation in the style between the ways that the time frames.
You know where you are.
Right. So it's one of those books that if you were reading in trade, you'd be reading issue after issue. This, you're waiting a month, and with the second storyline, they introduced a bunch of new characters and pushed the characters from the first storyline kind of to the background. And it's like, okay, who's this person and why are they important? How are they related? And we have just sold Rob Boswell on Nice House out in Lake. Mission accomplished.
It's funny you talk about that. That's one of the things that I always joke about whenever I read like a book series.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why do they constantly recap everything from the previous book? But then when I read comics, I'm like, I need to go back and read the previous comic to find out what the heck is going on here. Because like it's you need to read them in groups at times.
And so again, I'm like, okay, it's indie. I like it. I like it enough that I want to support it.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to last, so I'm buying it floppy, but it's better consumed in the trade. Now, this is one that Coach Vic could be able to talk on too, because this is one of the few comics that both of us read monthly. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you're an old school X-Men fan, buy this book because that's how the characters are. That's how they interact.
I don't know anything about the X-Men, but I just love all the different characters, how they have different traits, and you're not throwing everything at once.
Right?
It's a slow burn.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's built to last. Like, one of these days we'll have Strange Academy 133.
So this is it's written by Scotty Young, art by Humberto Ramos, which Humberto Ramos, he's been around for a long time. His art's very distinctive, has this kind of cartoony quality to it, somewhat anime inspired, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to the contemporaries that got into the game the same time he did,
okay,
he's anime inspired.
All right.
I've heard they're putting this on a little bit of hiatus too with whatever they've got going on in Doctor Strange.
With the movies?
No, with the comics. They're killing Doctor Strange because they're working on a movie, so they got to kill the character in comics.
This makes no sense.
So, read this monthly. Love it. Is it perfect? No. Do I know? Can I keep track of all the characters? Not perfectly, not the way Coach Vic can.
Well, one thing they do that I like is at the beginning of each issue, they give you a rundown of all the characters.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference is he's reading it month to month, not reading in batches of 3 or 4.
Yeah. So for my money, this is one of Marvel's most solid books as far as quality of story, characters, and art combined.
I thought you didn't have that book.
Well, I sold my copy this week. Now I can go buy a bunch of lottery tickets.
Wow, they advertised Black Widow for that long ago?
Different cover on it. Yeah, this book's 2 months old. It's still got Black Widow on it. But this is a cool variant cover. I was lucky to find at my LCS. And we're going to talk about another book by Carrie Andrews. He's the one that's doing writing and art on this. I did not know that this book was a thing until I heard someone say, yeah, Carrie Andrews is doing this book for Marvel called Amazing Fantasy, and I had no idea what to expect. Love Carrie Andrews after reading an issue and a half. Not loving this book, but it's on my pull list, and I probably will be too lazy to not buy the rest and not read the rest.
How hard is it to write and draw a book?
I don't know. It's challenging. Look,
do they have
a terrible comic book has a lot of work put into it. Just the results are bad. Whether the people doing it don't speak to my taste, aren't as skilled as they should be for the job they're given.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to say that it's a hard job. I decided not to become a comic book artist because I said they're going to put 20 to 24 pages of blank paper in front of me every month and tell me to draw on them and fill it with a story and not do the same thing twice ever. And I'm like, not me, bro.
Yeah, and probably the more realistic thing is every 2 weeks.
What do you mean the more realistic thing?
they'll put 24 blank pages in front of you every 2 weeks.
Well,
Or they'll give you 4 books to draw at one time.
a reliable professional artist should be able to do a book a month, but because of today's standards and what we as consumers expect in our art, it's too much work to get done in that short of time.
Oh, okay.
There's that, and then there are lazy artists out there.
Stop talking bad about Scotty Young. That's all. Back to Strange Adventures. Strange Academy.
Yeah.
Can we get a Scotty Young variant every now and then?
Yeah, you would think he's doing variants on every other book.
Right.
Okay. So the other Marvel book I'm reading monthly is Thor. Historically, I could give two craps about Thor. in the comics, not that interesting. I read the first issue of Silver Surfer Black by Donny Cates and hated it. I didn't hate it. I was disappointed because I just watched an episode of a YouTube video where they went over a storyline in Guardians of the Galaxy, and I paid $4 for Silver Surfer Black, and it was the exact same story they just got done telling in that Guardians of the Galaxy book. So I was like, screw that. But the first couple storylines of story and art in this are pretty dang solid. The new artist they have on it is acceptable. They've got some they've kind of planted some seeds for a big thing they want to build to, involving Thanos, and Thor's dealing with the fact that his hammer doesn't like him anymore, and we don't know why. And they're doing some interesting things in it.
But can you buy a book with acceptable art?
Yeah, it's acceptable. My acceptable art is a pretty high bar. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Let me see. I'm trying to figure out what order I want to show these. Let's go like this.
Mm.
All right. And okay, we still got to mix. As you can see, we'll switch over to DC now. We're going back and forth. Strange Adventures
started strong.
It did. And just like Mr. Miracle, in my opinion, this thing is stretching on and on and on. The last couple issues, they've gotten to the point where I'm like, I knew you're going to do this like 6 issues ago.
Right.
One issue left. Still going to pick it up. Love Evan Shaner's art in it. I used to be a Mitch Gerrard's fan. Now he's merely acceptable in my opinion. But love the Evan Doc Shaner art. Tom King. I'm worn out on the Tom King brand, but I will be buying the Human Target.
Human Target.
Yeah, it's another older DC property.
Is that the TV show it's based off of?
I'll go with yes. It was an older TV show that lasted like one season on ABC in like 1989.
No, it was more like 2017.
Okay, I don't know.
But everything else is right. One season.
It probably is. So Human Target, I don't. It's like Thor. I don't give two rats asses about the character, so they can do whatever they want with him. I kind of like Adam Strange. I love Mr. Miracle. So the way they torture the character in this book. By the way, anybody pick up on the fact that they're pretty much doing the same thing in this book as they did in Mr. Miracle? Like the big reveal, the big twist.
I don't know how I missed that. Oh, I never read Mr. Miracle.
Reminds you of the Joel Jones art, the Doc Shaner art. I can get it a little bit, yeah. I'd love to see Doc Shaner do Captain Marvel just forever. The DC Captain Marvel, not Shazam. All right. I had not intended to pick this up. Geiger by Jeff Johns and Gary Frank, but
How can you say no to Jeff Johns?
You got a point.
But Stargirl.
Yeah.
And the other TV show he does.
I love the Gary Frank art. But the story's darn good too. And what I'm picking up on is I need to care for the characters less in these books for me to enjoy them more.
Okay. You get that invested?
Because, okay, if they treat Superman in a way I don't like, I'm probably not going to keep buying a comic.
Mm-hmm.
It's surprising I didn't pull out any X-Men because I stopped reading X-Men after giant or planet-sized X-Men, and I knew I wouldn't like it. I knew I wouldn't like the whole was it the Hellfire Club or
Hellfire Gala.
Yeah.
I have one book.
So this is the part of the show where I stopped to talk about Jonathan Hickman's X-Men. I've always said I have not felt as strongly as everyone else are big fans of Jonathan Hickman's X-Men. It's not that I didn't like the ideas he was kind of pursuing. I didn't think they proceeded fast enough with the storyline. And as it went on, I picked up on the fact that he had less and less to do with what was going on. And that was happening behind the scenes, and they weren't talking about it. Now they're talking about it. And all of my assumptions were correct in that he did not have as much control over things as he should have had. And so I can't wait for the X-Men to crash and burn.
So they're just using his name and like having all these underlings write it or something?
Yeah, that's what they're doing. I mean, that was the intent from the beginning, but he was more of the head lead creator over the whole line of X-Men books.
Oh, so he was the vision caster, and they're supposed to write within his vision.
Right.
Okay.
But then the people he had working, kind of writing underneath him, they're like, yeah, I kind of like where we're at. Can we stay here for a while? And he was like, yeah, okay, we can stay here for a while. And then after a while, he's like,
micromanage.
After a while, he's like, it's time to move on. And everybody else is like, no, we're not moving. Rob Boswell says, I want to get Geiger, but I haven't yet.
Read Nice House on the Lake first.
Nice House on the Lake is better. Strangely similar as far as what they're doing story-wise. Berserker. Do you remember the day when like people would say Keanu Reeves and everybody would snicker under their breath, like silently to themselves, thinking
Station.
If I bash the whole Station thing live, I'm going to get so much flack from this community.
Well, wait a second. By the way, TM Nerdy, thank you for subscribing to my channel. You're about to be greatly unimpressed. Station. All right. I'm with you.
I'm not going to say it.
By the way, Berserker, I thought I took that off my pull list, but apparently I received 1, 2, and 1, 3, and 4. What happened to number 2?
Exactly. Hey, no retailer's perfect. Rob Boswell says another one I want to get but haven't, Berserker. So
I got 1, 3, and 4. I'll send you.
To all of our brothers that are Valiant fans, this is what the Eternal Warrior should have always been.
Okay.
And that in Valiant, I was never a huge Valiant fan. I got into Eternal Warrior a little bit, Exo Manowar a little bit when they had like Bart Sears and Barry Windsor Smith were doing the artwork. But the concept of a warrior living forever, they're pulling it off in this in spades.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that what's his face? There can only be one.
Valiant was a line of comics. You're thinking of Highlander.
Oh yeah,
which it is a very similar concept.
Okay.
Except in this universe so far there is only one.
Really?
Yeah. If you like barbarians, if you like violence, if you like cover to cover action with a little bit of story, enough story to make it all gel together.
Why did I get that book?
What do you mean? Why did you get that book?
I don't like violence. I don't like wall. I like a good story.
Not all books are all things to all people. All right, so talked about Batman a little bit earlier. I'll show you some of the books that I'm not getting anymore because I'm tired of Batman. But if you're a Nightwing fan that read the Chuck Dixon run and you're not getting this, you are missing out because they're hitting on all the right notes from that early Chuck Dixon run and just making it better. Tom Taylor's writing this. I could have swore up and down that they would announce Tom Taylor's next Batman writer. He's getting his own story in a kind of a 1602 kind of way. But story and art, solid in this Nightwing run.
I've heard nothing but great things about it. Maybe wish I would have got in on it.
I think as a new reader coming into it, you would probably enjoy it, but not pick up on the little hints to the past that they talk about.
Like I'd be asking why is Barbara Gordon in a wheelchair?
No,
type of questions.
Well, she's walking around in this one. She
got healed.
She, new 52. So, and that should just explain everything you need to know about why Barbara Gordon walks now, and I don't know. But they're bringing back the Blockbuster as the big bad, in kind of a Kingpin-esque role.
Yeah, we need a good Kingpin book. That's what we need.
I know. Did you see the thumbnail?
Oh, that's what that was?
Yeah, man.
I didn't recognize him not in this three-piece suit.
Well, he's kind of chilling.
Oh.
All right, let me file all these that we've been looking at so far, so I don't make too big a mess here.
And by the way, the last Ronin, I would have taken it off your hands if I was known it's going to be one book every 4 months. I wouldn't have had a problem with spending that much money on the book then.
I still got the first issue if you want it. Unfortunately, it got dinged in one of my boxes. So it won't be a 9.8.
Okay.
All right. Joker. This also featuring Punchline bullcrap. DC Comics, that and the glossy cover are not making this worth $5.99. So so it's the old bait and switch thing. This book is not about the Joker. It's about Commissioner Gordon and his kind of chase of the Joker, and will he or will he not kill the Joker once he does track him down. Interesting concept. The art is acceptable. Again, my bar for acceptable.
There's a question, like on the back of that book, is that done by a comic artist, or is that just some sort of rendering done by somebody somewhere?
This is a Photoshop job of the actors from the TV show. It's not a
bad show.
It's not what I would call an illustration.
You know it's bad if I'm saying it's a bad show, because I give any black show at least a little some props.
Oh, this show was that bad that you're calling it a bad show?
Yeah.
Wow.
I hate his uniform costume. What do you call a superhero's outfit?
Uniform or costume.
Okay. Punchline's the bomb. So
it's not that I dislike the Punchline character, but the art that they've got on the Punchline book or the story in this, and it is a significant portion of the book. I mean, I'm not sure what they're doing, but in one of these issues, I turned the page after the centerfold, and the Punchline story started. Not for me, DC.
I have to ask you this as soon as you show it.
Okay.
Did you pay extra for number 1?
No.
Or you just got lucky?
I had it on my pull list.
No, but isn't that the variant?
Is it?
Because he's reading the crossover.
Yeah. Is that the variant?
I think that is the variant.
No, you gotta make me open it.
Because I think that's the one that people were trying to get. And people were surprised whenever they got it. It was like a secret variant or something like that.
I think you're right.
I was noticing the corner was a little dinged up there on the top left.
Nope. This is all ones. This is the regular cover.
Okay.
That's a good thing too, because I don't want any reason to keep this. This is gonna go in my box of comics not to keep. I'm gonna keep the Jokers because if I find
Batman adjacent.
No, here, look. $5.99. 2/3 of the book is not the Joker. I like the story. The art's okay. If I find I've got the first 3 issues in this, 2 issues, 3. There are 3 in there. If I find the rest of the run in a dollar bin, you know I'm picking those up.
So,
crossover. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about crossover for a second. Rob's got a couple crossovers. Okay. The news on this book, the thing going into it was that Donny Cates is writing it, biggest name in comic books these days. Jeff Shaw, I think, was his pal on God Country. I'm looking at the ad on the back. I read the God Country trade. It was solid. This was like, okay, we're going to cross over all your favorite comics somehow, including like Spawn and Savage Dragon and Superman and the Hulk and Cerebus. Why didn't we ever see Cerebus in this, by the way? That's open to anybody. It's in public domain.
But you don't have all 7 issues either.
No, I don't, because I gave up after the 6th. I read through the first storyline. Yawn City. The art was admirable, I guess. Acceptable for sure. This again, going through my boxes. Here we go. Going through my boxes, and I'm just never going to read it again. I haven't gotten Batman 89 yet. Oh. I've heard it's good. I'm tired of Batman.
You should read the Black Batman book.
Okay, so I signed up for the new Black Batman book and got. Is it in here? It's not in here. I got the 0 issue that I didn't want. It didn't have the good art. It didn't have Oliver Coipel art in it. I didn't want it. It was in my pull, so I was obligated to buy it. I'm buying that book for the Olivier Coipel art. That's the only reason. I hope the storyline is good. I want the book to succeed. As soon as he's done with the art duties, I'm out. Unless they really, really intrigue me. Okay, we were talking about Carrie Andrews earlier on the Amazing Fantasy.
Yeah, Amazing Fantasy.
Oh, it was lame. Batman 89 was lame.
Well, what did you expect Al to say?
Don't say that about my friend Al. He likes stuff. You just have to look hard for the stuff he likes.
Okay.
I like the story. I like the art a lot in this book. I didn't care for the character. I didn't care for the universe. I'm gonna keep it for the art, basically.
How do you like the story, but not the characters? If I read it, I would know.
It's very much the Peter Parker origin story. you know, geeky kid gets superpowers. And you get too much Peter Parker, not enough Spider-Man in this for me.
Oh, okay.
It's totally predictable. It's exactly how I described it. Spider-Man fans might like it, but they'll read it and say this is a ripoff of Spider-Man. I mean, it's that kind of one note. All right, so these are the next books I'll show are some that I've picked up recently. Move this one up in the batting order. This is my current read. The Comely Widow, The Crimes of the Serial Killer Belle Gunness. This was created by a local creator here in our area. And I read half of it. It's got a very independent look to it, but the art is consistent throughout. And he's kind of taking, if you look at the style of the art of the characters he's using, he's picking up on some of the oldest kind of comic design and not knocking them off, but evolving them a little bit so that he can use them kind of as to help style the characters in his book. Rob Boswell has already gotten this and has read it. Nice.
Wow.
So it's a true story.
Is that a Dateline story?
No, but they've written like multiple books about it. The guy that did this does a great job of putting his bibliography in the back so you can go and read all the source material.
Nice.
But this lady owned a farm and killed, like, I don't know. Don't know if they put a number on the amount of men she killed. Just, she put an ad in the paper and said, I'm a good looking widow. I've got this farm. I need somebody to bring all their money and help me with it.
Oh, that was brilliant. And they came.
You know,
And then leave.
She needs farm hands. She hires a guy on Monday, does a week's worth of work, dead by Saturday. Magic Lasso. Thanks for joining us, brother.
Yeah.
We're walking through. So far we've covered everything up to current day. New books that I've bought and read, and now we're getting into some books that some back issues, some older stuff that I've been picking up recently. Rob enjoyed The Comely Widow.
Nice. And speaking of stuff that I've enjoyed lately.
Oh, I know what you enjoyed about Green Lantern.
That was a good movie. Why are y'all hating on this movie? I loved it. I'm just mad they didn't do a sequel or 2 or 3.
I'm sure you are. We're talking about the same movie, right?
With Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively.
John's
John,
Comics for Kids.
John, you like the Green Lantern movie, didn't you? Maybe, hopefully. Really? Is it because I never read the books?
I don't know. It's
My Darkest Day.
It could have been so good. That's the thing. It could have been awesome, and they wrote a cheesy script for it to kind of work with Ryan Reynolds' sense of humor. That's you heard it here first. Al's been picking up the Blue and Gold. I was intrigued to pick that up, but I haven't. So I'm interested to hear what you have to say about it.
All right, that's it. I'm all superhero movies that are made before the Marvel Cinematic Universe. All right, how's that?
Marie Hilly sounds like she's got a lot in common with Miss Gunness from up here in LaPorte, Indiana.
The Comely Wife.
Yep. So I was intrigued by Jeff Johns, along with Dave Gibbons and Patrick Gleason's runs on both Green Lantern and the Green Lantern Corps. So in the last year or so, I've been picking these up out of dollar bins. So this was, I got 6 books for $5. So
Nice.
This was less than $1. Also got this out of, I think I paid $2 for this one. Just a random sensational She-Hulk John Byrne issue. Those are the books you pick up out of dollar bins or $2 bins. The dollar bin has gone away in our neck of the woods. That's not true. One retailer has them. There's one LCS I don't go into. Our main LCS I don't has any dollar books at the moment. But there are a couple of little flea markets with retailers in them that I've been getting. I collected this infamous Iron Man run back when it was new and missed, what was it, issue 5. So have to find a dealer with that at the flea market.
But you found my Invincible Iron Man books there, right?
I did.
Oh, I'm sorry, I got ahead of the game.
Like that one.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna go all in on re-spec, but if Coach Vic didn't want a bunch of other books, I would have gone all in on a bunch of re-spec. So I found this book and I figured, okay, Invincible Iron Man. So this is probably the earliest meeting of Kamala and Riri, and I haven't been able to research enough to confirm or deny it. So help me out there. But it is just a cover appearance by Kamala. The cover's got nothing to do with the story. But I figure, Riri and Shuri first appearance spiking.
Yeah.
They're going to meet. So, Green Lantern better than the first Avenger. The first half of First Avenger puts it over the top, over the Green Lantern book.
The first half.
When J. Hood Creative says re-respect, I hear. Biggie Shack.
Biggie.
Thanks for joining us, New World Order Comics. So these are books, just a few. Most of what I'm going to show is older stuff in a minute. But this is just a few pickups. I had to find the 6th book in my 6 books for $5 book purchase, and that was in there. Adam Hughes. If I was an artist, a cover collector, I'd be an Adam Hughes collector all day. You find, early issues of Moon Knight for $2. You pick those up. So this is really the reason. Sometimes I'll go into the store and find like 1 or 2 books, and if I don't find enough to buy, I'll just put them back and hope they're there next time. But these are the books actually that inspired me to go ahead and buy them. Buy all these little kind of Bissant books. Cable. So this is Cable number 56. So we'll show the covers. 56. 57. 58 with a Nick Fury appearance.
White one or black one?
The white one. This doesn't have a cover date on it. And my eyes are too bad to read what the publication date was. But this is like back in the 90s.
Okay.
I want to say. We got number 63, The Return of Strife. Remember him?
Too much to do with too much strife.
Whatever happened to that guy? And number 64.
So what made you go all in on Cable? Just somebody you like?
So back in the day when these books were new, I was collecting it. And at a certain point, I stopped collecting it. Well, I can't remember why. So I had a whole in my collection for years and years of about 10 issues. And these last 5 issues fill the run from this Cable series that was went through a couple writers during this run, but at the end it was Joe Casey, who's a real solid writer. Wrote Superman for a long time. But one of the main reason I want to go back and buy these was for the art. And this is, I believe, a Spanish artist named Jose Ladron. Ladron is how it's spelled. And this looks like it's got, this is a fill-in issue by someone named Platt. And it is drawn by Stephen Platt. I didn't even realize that until just now. Stephen Platt on an issue of Cable. But the cover was done by Ladron. And he has a very solid mix. This back in the day when he was drawing this, it was very Kirby-esque, kind of inspired. He kind of blended that. He went on to work on stuff for the Elephant Men. And his art style became much more of a blend between Kirby and Mobius. So it's got a real interesting look, but I mean, this one definitely looks Kirby. So again, I'm pulling these out of dollar bins these days. So just keep in mind, you don't have to go for the keys. Find a cool artist like Jose Ladron and go buy his work on the cheap.
Okay.
Just because the books came out in the 90s doesn't mean they're crap. People just don't talk about them. Let's see here. If you have our grown new comic book day, you got to ask yourself, can you live without James Tynion? We talked a lot about Tynion earlier.
I don't think
Rob says Ben on Barbed Wire.
Was that a movie or a TV show starring Pamela Anderson?
Who's that?
Barbed Wire.
It was a movie, yep. Inspired by the comics. Nice. I took the family to Fort Wayne to the zoo last Monday, and I was this close to going to a comic book shop, and we just ran out of time.
You didn't put them on the train? Here, go to the train. I'll use the bathroom right quick. I'll meet you back here.
Look, Fort Wayne has got a pretty hopping comic book scene, and we need to make a road trip and just go on a little pub tour of comic book shops.
A comic book store crawl.
Yeah, man. So I picked these up at a show recently. I'm not sure if I actually showed these on the channel yet, but I did read them. I bought them to read. Art by John Byrne and writing by Chris Claremont on these back in the day.
And once again, I ask, how come nobody's decided to reboot these two characters? And together like this Power Man and Iron Fist?
I think they did recently. The books just don't sell that well. Carrie Andrews did a series recently of Iron Fist that I never picked up.
Yeah, but I meant together. Of course, I still don't know how they ended up together.
I'm not saying that there's not room for it to be done right.
How did they end up together? I mean, Harlem, wealthy kid.
It all happened right here.
On that issue?
Yep.
Nice.
So
I know that's on Comixology.
Should be. So I showed a couple Byrne books, and I did a live stream last Tuesday with Metarog and I keep forgetting the other guy's name, and that's really embarrassing now because I did a live stream with him. Heroes and Icons, from Heroes to Icons.
Yes, that's it.
Just talking about John Byrne for an hour. We talked about his early work up through 1980, which is incredibly impressive. And I think I showed these, but these fall like right in 1980, I think. So it's kind of the cutoff. So this is the storyline. They pulled a little bit of the story for WandaVision from this. So the origin of Wanda and Pietro. what a convoluted origin this we have. But been looking for these. I'm really, really getting into tracking down all of John Byrne's Bronze Age work, especially all of his just random Marvel stuff. Well, I say John Byrne, but then there's a George Perez cover. Magic Lasso's on board. So those are the books that I've been buying and reading and enjoying. Well, some of them. These are the books I'm pulling out of my collection.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
So let's
Move everything up.
Yep. Get these put away. Or a little short stack there. All right. So, like I said, as I go through my collection to put books away, I'm looking for books that I can pull out to make room for more. And like I said, I paid for these books. Some people are going to be like, "Hey, man, those things are awesome. Can I have them?" And we're going to talk about that more as soon as I flip through a few of them. So it's things like the Angela miniseries from Image from back in the day. I'm never going to open this bag with the intention of reading it again. If anything, I'll might bag and board it for someone that's going to be super picky if they choose that they want to purchase it from me for some reason, and they want it bagged and boarded. But
so you might have to cut that tape off. Is that what you're saying? Because it's been stuck there so long.
No, it's a fresh. I'm not going to say it's a fresh bag, but it's older than 10 years. But just goes to show you don't have to change your bags. They're fine. Just keep them in a cool, dry place.
Yes.
Stuff like...
Oh, that looks kind of cool.
It does, doesn't it? This is Ash. Ash number 0, but this is the whole run of Ash books from Joe Quesada, who, at one point...
I've heard of him.
After he did this, went on to become the editor-in-chief of Marvel. Because he even has... This must have been from Wizard. This is the back cover, but this has got like the half issue. Like Wizard Comics would do a Ash number 1/2, and it would be.
Oh, really?
That size. This isn't a half issue, but what do they call it? A mini comic. Ash number 4, a mini comic. Exclusive supplement in Wizard number 53. It says so down there at the bottom. But, back in the day, this was I almost said a bad word. This was the stuff. This was what was hot. Ash, the firefighter superhero. And I will never read this. Not because it wasn't good. I honestly can't remember if it was good or not.
I'll hold this for you.
Focus. It's not going to focus, but that's okay. It'll show the comics. Grendel, 50 cents.
I ain't even worn a bag.
It was a giveaway. Another giveaway. Free comic book day. Atomic Robo. Looks really cool. Cracking it open. Not as cool.
Here, you can have this one back.
I turned it off that quickly, huh?
No.
Oh, you see other stuff you want. Brightest Day. The miniseries from DC Comics after Darkest Night became Brightest Day. Again, multi-bagging. There's going to be one issue at least missing from this that was signed.
Oh.
So,
all right, well, I'll still hold this one for you.
And you got a lot more to buy. This is the first Looks like the first 24 issues of 52.
52. Yeah, I'll hold this for you.
It had awesome art by.
Is this a good one to start with?
Try it and see. And try it out. Take it for a test drive. Got great art in it by Ivan Rice and Joe Prado and other artists that weren't nearly as good or as memorable.
Passerin and Thomasy. I mean, Jeff Johns.
Yeah.
Thomasy and Passerin, who are there?
Yeah.
There's Pareto and all them here.
See, that's the other thing that turns me off. Rotating artists. Stay on a book. You're going to do a big event book. Make it a big event book. Bleed Them Dry. Issue 1. Look cool. It's about vampires. I'm not that into vampires. I figured I'd keep it for a while. See if it gets optioned. Wait for this to show up on a list.
I mean, vampire movies they're hot. They're hot.
When does the auction start? So here's the thing. Do I do an auction for this stuff? Or do I just say,
make me an offer?
If I put this up and say claim for the price of shipping is I'll fill a box, I'll send you the box for $15 and you give me a tip. Like whatever you think. Whatever you think, just get them out of my house.
Don't look into the sun during the eclipse.
DC rushes from bad idea to bad idea. I think that's the truth.
See, to my brightest day or darkest night, which one?
I'll give you 100 for all right now.
Hey. Let me finish picking through it first.
Oh, I need those books back. Plus shipping. 100 plus shipping. And we can make a deal. Fool Killer. This is issue number 1. And I have issues 1 to 4 and never came across the 5th issue in a dollar box. So but this is the max explicit content. This is from Marvel's adult line, so I'm not sure how racy it gets.
Marvel had an adult line.
Yeah. That's where
all those random comics that show up on eBay, like
that's where Alias was introduced. She was part of the Max line, and the first issue, she has a sex scene with Luke Cage, and then from there on, it was completely watered down.
Who did?
Alias, Jennifer.
Jennifer Lawrence's character?
No, not Jennifer.
Garner.
No. Alias was the comic.
Oh,
what was the TV show? The one with the girl.
Alias?
No, the Marvel show.
Oh.
Help me out, chat. Short box, like $40 shipping. That's what I'm saying. But hey, you're in driving distance. We can be patient about this. We can deliver to your door.
I've heard you talk about Ed Brubaker.
Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips are a solid creative team. And I've got the first 2 miniseries of the Fatale series where here's the thing. Usually they say, we're going to do a miniseries. And the miniseries ends and you get the whole story. At the end of this miniseries, you get, wait until part 2 comes along. And so I'm like, okay, I'll buy part 2. And it's got this little bit of a horror thing to it, and I just wasn't into it. So I read the first one, collected the second volume, and never read it.
84 is in the house.
Comic Head 84. Thanks for joining us, man. Jessica Jones. Hey. That's the one.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense because she marries Luke Cage.
Right.
Okay.
But I'm telling you, the Max line was not ever nearly steamy as that first
episode
encounter of her, with him. Who Wants the Hard Place? Number 1 and 2, free for the price of shipping.
Yeah, you know what it's about.
If you like it, pay me more. Okay, this this is gonna hurt your feelings. Do I have more in here? I've got more of these somewhere. I probably just put them in a different spot. Al talked me into buying the Goon, and it's got great art. And that's where it kind of begins and ends with me. If you're into, spooky kind of horror stuff that's kind of goofy and rough and tumble, there's nothing wrong with it. It's some people's suit, but it's not mine. J Hood likes it steamy. The hotter and steamier.
You bought some crazy stuff.
Glamour Puss by Dave Sim. This is the entire run of Glamour Puss. And talk about your...
Is this all the issues on the back here?
Yeah. Rob Boswell likes the Goon. Yeah, this is all the covers for the whole series. So talk about completely misleading covers. Why would J Hood Creative buy this unless he was like into making fun of fashion magazines? Why would David Sim make this whole series? The cover is incredibly misleading as far as what the contents are. It's misleading that only half the book is more of this, and the other half is him telling the story of how a couple of the most famous newspaper comic strip artists feuded, and one kind of killed the other in a car accident.
What?
Right. That part is incredibly interesting. The rest of it, I'm like, he's just looking for excuses to draw pretty girls. And if looking at pretty girls drawn by Dave Sim's your thing, then this book's for you. They've taken the rest, the historical comic or the cartoonist part, and made a trade of it. He didn't actually finish the story within this series, which really pissed me off. And I don't think that he actually finished the story itself. He handed it off to someone else to finish. I've been watching for a minute. I'm amused by the new books all being 20. You missed the new books part. Yeah. Random issue of Hack Slash. I wanted to get into Hack Slash at one point, and it is a dollar bin book, I'm sure. So I've got 3 to 4 short boxes full of this stuff. What do I do with it? I'm open to ideas.
Oh, that's the good stuff, right?
Yeah. So this is the good stuff. So I've got this box that I keep my like current. This is what I'm collecting. I need to put it away. So I'll put it in this box, but also in this box is stuff that I intend to read. So these are, I don't want to say, no, it's a mixed bag.
It is.
So in the past couple of years, I've been into getting this Captain Marvel run finished. So I want to read these books as I buy them. I'm missing number 26, by the way. I just need that to finish out the Jim Starlin run. So if anybody knows somebody that has a reasonably nice copy of 26 that they are willing to sell for a reasonable price, please let me know. What
Al wrote.
Which part?
Right there.
Yeah, that's kind of it. Look, I took 100 pounds worth of one short box of comics of the most common crap you'll find in every 50-cent bin across America. Okay, tonnage of art books, and I had some DVDs in there, and a few trades that I knew nobody would care about at all, and took them to half price books just to find out what they gave me for them. And they gave me $27 for 100 pounds worth.
And store credit?
They would have given me either one, but I took the in-store credit because I know they got stuff I'll buy.
Right.
But so now I'm like, I did that as the experiment of what am I going to get if I just unload this stuff that way? And now I'm like, I'll just give this to somebody that will like it better than me and feel good about it. So that's kind of where I'm at. Anyway, that's not what I think about this book. This book I want to read. Teen Titans, Nick Cardy, Teen Titans books. These are in my read stack. I want more of that Captain Marvel. I only have 6 issues of the volume 1 of. Okay, I've lost track of what you're talking about. Just a random issue of the Hulk I picked up. Want to read that? More Nick Cardy. Remember back when we used to do that show called, what was it called?
Issue at Hand.
Issue at Hand. I'm going to be 51. My memory is going. And at the end of the Issue at Hand, I said, I want to reread Ronin.
Right.
So this in my 2 read stack, I still need to accomplish that. Might talk to Unruly Simeon, see if he's interested.
I don't know Michael Jackson did any comics.
Thriller night. If you see the first 4 issues of Thriller in a dollar bin, just pick them up. 50-cent bin. They're going to be that cheap. It was a direct market book that DC put out back in the 80s. I mean, like the mid 80s. This is from 83 to 85, somewhere in there. And it was way before its time. It didn't sell well enough to keep the talent that it needed. Trevor Von Eden did the first 6 issues, and the first 4 are really strong. The next 2 he did weren't so great, and then the 6 are pretty forgettable as far as story goes. But this was interesting stuff back in the day. I'll give you the brass tacks. So Thriller is actually this being back here. It's a woman that has now gone on to, she's like a spirit. Doesn't have like God level powers or something like that. But she had a twin brother that still lives, and she kind of helps habitate his mind.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got 7 seconds to save the world. And
7 seconds.
What they mean by 7 seconds is not 7 ticks of the clock, but 7 people in her place to help save the world. So she's got like a team of really interesting heroes, and her brother's like he's a Punisher type that won't kill anybody. You know, he's the excellent sharpshooter. It's worth the $2 to $4 it would cost you if you see it out in the wild. Your daughters will have fun. That's why I have you guys, so you can buy them all on the cheap. This was a book I came across, and I was like, I'm going to get rid of this. I'm never going to read this. And then I like flipped through it, and I'm like, I got to read this. I read it years ago when it was new, and I can't tell you what it's about other than it's about this little boy in an insane asylum.
With a triangle head.
He's got a triangle head and a straight jacket. Under the straight jacket, he's naked. But yeah, it just looks too interesting not to give it a reread before I part with it. But this was by Piranha Press. And if you ever see Piranha Press books in a dollar bin, that's where they'll be found. This was actually a DC Comics imprint back in the 80s, the late 80s, probably into the early 90s. This is what they did with it. Like, real quirky, indie looking stuff. Predates what would later become Vertigo. I guess you could say it's a precursor of what Vertigo was. I sent a nice copy of this to Hialeah, but I needed a copy for myself, and I got to read it. One of Jack Kirby's last books before he left Marvel.
Surfer Fights Alone.
Another Nick Cardy, Batman, Brave and the Bold book. It's they put out a Nick Cardy art book, and this is one of the specific issues he talks about in that book is kind of one of the issues he saw as kind of one of the high watermarks of his career.
Do you have the art book?
Yeah, it's over in my art books to read. And then
huge stack. Annihilation.
The end of the pile. These are in no particular order.
Annihilation.
Annihilation from I guess the 90s. There's been some speculation that the Marvel MCU will get to the storyline eventually. It'll be a long ways off, but I never read it. And it was one of those things. I think this happened at the same time as Civil War. So this is kind of an event contained in itself. So those are the books that I plan to read eventually. But man, this is getting so out of hand.
Let's get in there.
Let's just do a recap. 84 is still here. I'll show you some of the newer books. So, big fan of Nightwing. Reading it, loving it. Berserker.
Oh yeah,
loving it. Geiger, liking it. I haven't read the last issue of this yet, which I understand something happens.
A twist.
Strange Adventures. Glad it's almost over. Thor. Liking it. One of the few Marvel books I still buy. Amazing Fantasy. Underwhelming, but we'll probably still buy it. Strange Academy. The X-Men of today.
That means he likes it. Bub.
We only find them when they're dead. Tolerating it. I just went over 2,500 books again, so time to purge once more. So his number is 2,500, mine is 10,000.
Is that a humble brag or what?
Sure. Wonder Girl. Wonder Girl, I'm buying it until Joelle Jones is done, which won't be long. Ice House on the Lake, my favorite current read right now. And lastly, Something's Killing the Children. If you're not into it in monthly, get it in the floppy. And the House of Slaughter was pretty good too. So the thing I'm picking up on, just flipping through all these books, is the stuff that I'm interested in is not the stuff I was when I was a kid. Tired of Batman. X-Men suck. It's indie stuff. Nice House on the Lake. If someone probably described it to me, I doubt if I'd be into it. But it's kind of greater than the sum of its parts, I think. I don't know if that makes any sense.
So this is going back to what I was talking to you about the other day. We need book clubs that focus on old series.
Yeah, I mean, going back to Annihilation, it's came out in the 90s, maybe early thousands. So it's like 20 years old.
Yeah, well, 84, that's not going to last too much longer, though.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what I'm seeing. And I go through stages where I'm like, if I don't walk out of the comic shop spending a certain amount of money, I'm like, I didn't buy enough. I got to go back for more. But then I go and look for more, and there's just not anything there that appeals to me all that much. Oh no, they're standing on Biggie picks up like 3 series. So one of the things I noticed, there's a Facebook group, and I meant to pull up this graphic. Are you still buying multiple copies and variants? Only on Nice House on the Lake, and I probably no. If they come out with a 4th print number 1, I'm buying
Yes,
it.
you are.
Yeah. First print, 2nd print, 3rd print. I'm only doing that for the first issue, though. I'm not doing it for all the subsequent ones.
Right.
But I was trying to make a point, and I lost track of it. But yeah, so
probably about the new stuff.
Oh, there's a Facebook group.
Yeah. Yes.
That just it's CGC fans or CGC collectors.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And they, I don't go to Facebook much. I kind of divide up my social media between all my comic book stuff is on Instagram, all my either business or family stuff's on Facebook, and I don't mind if the two cross over a little bit. So on Facebook anyway.
Where's your fun stuff?
My fun stuff.
Well, you got business here and family here. Where's the fun?
On Instagram.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, this one group that I just happened to join, probably when I was getting ready to look into doing some CGC stuff, which I still haven't done, but I'm going to. But it's a CGC collector group. And somebody just posted a question: how old are the people in this group? And if you look, then he gave like the total at the end. So I'll encourage you to go look it up if you're on Facebook at all, to go see where you land in the spectrum of what age groups have the highest amount of slab collections. And so when we talk about comic book collecting or the comic book hobby or the market or whatever, I said it before, I'll say it again. It's not one thing. There's one market that sells episodic entertainment, and then there's another that sells high-end collectibles, and then there's this kind of blend in the middle. And so this doesn't indicate everything about the market, because it's talking about a very specific collector base. This collector base may also read the content for entertainment purposes, but it's mainly for the value of the books. But when you look at their numbers, I'm in the one of the, like, they have like the not a pie chart, like a stack of like a graph with like this many in the 45 to 50 age group, and then this many in the 50 to 55 or 51 to 55, yada yada yada. And so you can see it like it goes up and then it peaks and then it obviously goes down, and like 80-year-olds don't collect comic books anymore. But I'm in that group of guys, like one of the highest bars. I'm not sure if I was in the highest one or not, but what that tells me, and I was thinking back through, like, okay, what I know about the kind of the ages of some of the people in our community. I'm like, yeah, that guy's right there, and this guy is here. And when I talk about Comic-Geddon, Al's gonna say how much he hates it. When I talk about Comic-Geddon, this is what I mean. When this kind of shift, the old guys are gonna die off. I'm gonna die someday and leave all my comics to my kids that don't know what to do with them, and they're just gonna trash them. I'm gonna leave some notes. But there's gonna come a day when Marvel's made too many movies and people just don't care about superheroes anymore. And I don't know, I'm not going to get too down about it or anything, but I'm realizing, hey, I'm not in that demographic the advertisers are aiming at anymore. The 18 to 35s, almost every advertiser wants to hit that age group because they've got the most influence and most money to spend. Yada yada
the most disposable income.
I'm not sure that's really the case, but anyway,
they spend it.
There's that, and then I was talking about earlier that there's an economy that comes with making these comics where creators need to be paid a certain wage, and the better you are, the more you should be paid. It just comes to the point where the return on investment of a comic book by a big publisher isn't. They're not going to be able to pay James Tynion, and I can't remember the artist's name they've got on the Batman book to do Batman, but they can hire James Tynion and some lower level artist to do it, or a better artist and a lower level writer, and put them on like a lower tier book, and then put lesser talent on a higher tier book. If you think about it from that standpoint, the big publishers, Marvel and DC, they're not delivering the goods that I want. I mean, it comes down to that. So I'm finding myself buying less and less comics overall, definitely buying less and less from Marvel and DC, keeping more of an open mind from independent publishers. And like I said, putting my money where my mouth is when I feel strongly about something, buying independent books to make sure that I'm doing my part to keep them kind of going.
Right.
So that kind of teased, am I out of buying new monthly books? And the question is, or the answer is not quite, not yet anyway. Will it ever get there? I hope not. Like I said, I want to buy more. I want to read more. They're just not making the stuff I want. So are we going to see outsourcing of characters? I foresee a point when Marvel and or DC or Disney and or Warner Brothers or whoever owns them will hire another publisher to publish comic books with their characters in them. Bub says, don't take it too seriously. The data only includes those messing with Facebook. Most young collectors don't. That's true.
Well, isn't that kind of what Substack is doing? I mean, they're writing their stories and they can kind of outsource to anybody to publish those books for them, right?
Right. And the whole Substack thing is a big factor in that too. Something I didn't talk about. So much talent just going away from comics. I mean, they're still doing comics, but they're doing the content now, publishing it later. Big Shack. I'm an opportunist of keys and try to learn the history of the main characters mainly general stuff. For off the wall, I read Silver. Gotcha. I agree. For reading, I'm preferring indie stuff. Just do trades. Yeah. Young kids don't seem to buy comics like back in the day with lots of collectors, plus readers in the 30s. So I think there's still a good run left for comics. I'm going to be here if like the industry makes a turn. I mean, I want to read a good monthly X-Men book. Once this editor that kind of decided he's going to follow his other creative talent rather than sticking to Hickman's pure kind of vision for what he wanted to do on it. Whether I liked what Hickman was doing with the X-Men books or not, I knew he had an idea, a solid idea. He had some things he wanted to get done. So I knew there was at least a plan there. Now, I don't know what the plan is. I don't know. I don't have any confidence in the people behind that plan. But when those people are gone, I hope they put Scotty Young on the main X-Men book, because based on what I see in Strange Academy, he can handle it. Big two superhero books need to step up their game, though, with comic books, that's for sure, to focus on movies and TV. And they're screwing that up too. I mean, they're building towards a huge Doctor Strange movie, and their current storyline is the death of Doctor Strange. The heck is up with that? Just tell a good Doctor Strange story.
Right.
Get guys like us that are familiar with it really amped up about the current events of Doctor Strange, so that when other people go see the movie, we can say, man, go to the comic store right now and buy that Doctor Strange comic because it is awesome. You thought you liked what you saw on screen? This is better.
Exactly. I loved what I saw on screen the other day, and Jamie said, "This is better."
The Blackest Night is better.
Black Snake, is that before this one?
Yeah.
Oh, so shall I read that before I read this?
If you want. So, man, we've been going an hour and a half on this little tirade on comics I read and don't read. But hey, like I said,
I don't believe you watched Green Lantern tonight. Tell me if it doesn't change your mind.
I'm not going to do it.
It's on Netflix now. Those are the top 10.
Surprisingly not surprised. Anyway, I've got Coach Vic here, and I didn't want to leave without saying, talking about what have you been reading as a new reader. What have you been enjoying?
I've been enjoying getting books.
Just getting books?
Actually, no, but I've told you, I recently acquired a tablet, and so I think I told you about a year ago they had all the Black Panther comics on Comixology for free, and so I just bought them all. I mean, it might be 200 books or so.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so I've been reading those, and I started the original Hudlin run, and I'm really loving that, especially because it's funny because they start off with Condi, who's kind of Lisa Rice, but it's not kind of Lisa Rice. Which is really cool because she's getting ready to be on The View here. but I'm really enjoying that. I mean, the crossover with the Fantastic Four, not so. No, with the X-Men. Yeah, with the X-Men, not so much. It was all right. But I've been really just enjoying reading that series.
So have you read the Marvel Knights Black Panther yet? That would have been... Mark Texier was the artist, and...
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I know because the original Hudlin series runs the other one I'm reading right now. Because that's 44 books.
Yeah, but
I think I've read 30 of them.
Okay. When you're done with that, go back and read the Mark Texier stuff.
Well, actually, I was going to go back and read the first one.
Christopher Priest.
Christopher Priest.
That's the writer I was thinking about.
Yeah, I actually had a book somewhere.
Yep. Where'd you get it?
I got it from you. That's why we're sharing the profits from that book.
We are?
Maybe. Of course we. How am I going to take a book that you give me and it ends up being worth $20,000 and I'm like, hey, your kids could go to community college. How would that look?
Well, that one I was saying about isn't the Shuri one. But Shuri was part of the Reggie Hudlin run, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Al says, toys are cool. Join the dark side. There have been toys even recently, stuff that I wanted to buy where I was like, I gotta get some comics rated, then I can go buy them.
I just want to get Jamie that 3-foot tall Funko Pop at the front of the store.
I know, right?
Exactly.
All those ads they do in front of these movies that they don't give local comic shops an ad.
All the ads they do on the back of books for TV shows. You think they would work the other way around too?
Yep.
I mean, because they create these little ads. They create ads for YouTube.
So my answer on dumping for New Comic Book Day, I've not been a guy that goes to the comic shop every Wednesday. I haven't been that guy for a long time. I try to go monthly, and anymore I hit that because there are books that the few books I'm buying I'm that excited about getting, and it kind of depends on whether I have time to read them, whether I have time to get to the shop, etc. Marvel makes more money on comic T-shirts than comics.
Sure.
That's why they don't waste ad space on movies on comics. Comics themselves, okay, let's flip it around. The comics are marketing materials that they're charging us for. It's both kind of IP generation as well as marketing.
Well, it's interesting. I remember in high school, a teacher said newspapers will always be around because they make too much money selling ads on newspaper. So they can give you the newspaper for free, but because it makes so much money off the ads. And it seems like that's what comic books are for, but the ads in comic books are becoming less and less valuable, maybe.
You see almost all ads are in-house. I can tell you from experience working in licensed properties with some of these publishers where we had to buy ad space, and it was incredibly expensive. And then they want you to buy like banner ads on their website that nobody goes to. Yeah. Self-fulfilling prophecy, if you don't try. Let's see. Is that the Space 99 Hawk Mark IV artwork in the back? I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, it is. So you don't go to every week, but you still buy them. I do. I mean, like I said, there are a few books that I'm pretty jazzed about getting. I just wish there were a whole lot more. They're not going to promote shopping with a middleman. When comics go direct from publishers, who see ad for them in movies? You probably have a point there.
That's a good point.
You can arguably say that the whole movie is a comic ad. Yeah, but it's not telling you where to go buy more. There's no call to action to visit your local comic shop.
Well, and I think the other thing too is like I went and saw a movie. Let's say I saw Avengers or something, or I saw Green Lantern. I'm not gonna go to the comic book store and say, "Hey, I just saw this great movie. What book should I get to that will really emphasize that I could like really love this?" And you have to trust that your LCS LCS knows what they're talking about, right? And they have what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Because and I mean, I would have to look up comic stores and be like, okay, well, y'all have that would like mine. She knows the type of stuff I like. She's like, Victor, we're getting this now, so you only put that to your pull list. I'm like, yeah, sure. Of course, I guess that's how I have 75,000 books on my pull list.
Well, you are a bit uneducated enough to go in and say, I want to buy the storyline. And then you get all the tie-ins for said storyline.
Yes. They got me with that with one of them. I was like, I don't want all this extra stuff.
Dark Knight's Metal.
Yeah, that was it. Dark Knight's Death Metal. I got like 15 one-off books.
Magic Lasso was saying, I missed the Daily Planet page on the news of the Bronze Age. Ask the Answer Man column and the Henbeck cartoon. I do too, man. It's strange that when I look through a Bronze or Silver Age book, I probably do get as much enjoyment out of just looking at the old ads. And even as a little kid, I liked looking at the ads for some reason. The best ones were the Saturday morning cartoon schedules. Love those. Did Coach Vic just say, go get LSD after seeing
I like the movie.
Sadly, the answer is probably to have Walmart and Target totally replace comic shops to save the new comic day industry. Whatever happened to those 100-page giants that DC used to sell to Walmart? COVID came and went, and those things went the way of the dodo. And the thing is, we in the kind of the old school comic book collectors kind of poo-pooed those things. But if you looked at them for what they were a great product for a young reader, for a new reader. 100 pages of a little bit of new content, a lot of the old content that all of us have already read, all bound up in a little mini trade paperback with a nice, it wasn't the cardstock cover, but it was a thicker paper stock cover.
Right.
I got a couple of the Superhero Girls ones for my daughters, and just the quality of them, pretty tasty.
Great TV show.
It is one of the few comic adaptations I really like, even though it's not. I mean, they go way off the deep end as far as like the characterization. Online ads are not very effective. True. Walmart treats comic. Yep. Yeah, I mean, Walmart doesn't know what they're talking about. I mean, you can't go in and say, "I just saw this movie. Can you give me some suggestions what I should read?" They'll either be out of stock on what's good or just not have. I mean, anyway,
We'll give you Twilight.
Walmart is not going to replace what a good LCS would.
I just saw Blade. What do you recommend I read? Ooh, here's Twilight. It has vampires.
I mean, that's kind of how like the Netflix suggestions work, right?
Yeah.
The thing I like, the thing that Netflix says I will like, it also just happens to be the brand new thing they just posted.
That is a Netflix item too.
Mm-hmm. I got some of the old Super Friends comic books. I had a few of those back in the day. All right. Anyway, thanks for listening to me rant, guys, for an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes. Jeez, what are you doing here? No, sincerely. Magic Lasso, Bub, Biggie, Comic Head 84, Matthew, Al. Guys, thanks for hanging out. Coach Vic, thanks for hanging out.
Anytime.
It's good just to come on here and just talk comics for a while. Talk about some things, been mulling around. I don't have all the answers, but it's easier to just talk it out, try and work it out. Much of the comics in my LCS wall is stuff I tell them to put there. And my shop is clueless without looking stuff up on eBay at the register. The LCS we go to usually they have some wall books, but nothing like, not a bunch of Bronze Age or Silver Age stuff. It's mostly variants, recent variants, and things that that they had a lot of stock of that they had in storage they wanted to put up. Thanks for stopping by, Lasso. Al says, I used to buy comic books at Walden Book and drugstores. It's not.
I bought comic books at gas stations.
Yeah. And that's why I think the Walmart experiment with 100-page giants, I think should have been, they should have cast a wider net. That should have ended up in checkout kiosks in every supermarket across America. But it would have been ideal.
Right next to the Enquirer and the Sun. Yep. Enquirer, Sun, Marvel.
Yep. Archie made a lot of money doing those things. Like the Hangout. Yeah, I got to do this more often. Stationery stores, like I want to say Hallmark, but that's not.
Yeah, that's a stationery store.
Okay, but did they ever sell comics at one point? Anyway, we're winding it up. Thanks a lot for coming, guys. Hey, like, subscribe. I know everybody that's watching.
Yeah, like, subscribe, and share.
Let me know. Interact. Give me some
thumbs up,
some comments, some thumbs up if you like this.
No, whether you like it or not, give us a thumbs up.
Hey, if you are reading a new comic that you're excited about when you go to the store, you can't wait to buy it, leave a comment. Tell me what I'm missing, and I'll see if it jives with my interest, and I might pick it up. But hey, we'll do this again. We'll do a show this coming Saturday morning. Almost said clobbering time, pop culture clobbering time. And I hope to have the new intro ready by then. I can always hope, can I?
Yeah.
All right. But until then, we will sign off and remind you, keep your priorities straight. Faith, family, comic books. We'll see you next time, guys. Dude.